Hello everybody, Lime here, doing a little tutorial because some people on Facebook wanted to see it, figure out how I shade, so I'm going to be sharing this with you all to help everybody out, hopefully, and give a little insight into what exactly I personally do. Anyway, the program we're using is IbisPaintX. I do have the premium features and stuff. Also, I want to apologize if you hear my stylus clicking against the screen during the video because I don't have a screen protector or anything, and my stylus is like plastic, so it's kind of noisy. Sorry in advance. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get started, and first off I have my line art here with my character Blue. She's based off of a stuffed animal. How cute. Anyway, we're going to start with our flat colors. So what I do is I always put a layer underneath my line art. And I like to have a clean reference, digital reference. That way I can simply color pick and not, hurt my brain too much trying to get accurate colors every time. So we're just going to start filling in. I use the bucket tool. Some people don't. Really up to personal preference, but again, I do, just to speed up the process a little bit. Doesn't work for every section though. Like when we get to the bow, you'll see what I mean. So anyway, we're gonna just fill in these colors. Dark blue. So yeah, this character is based off of a stuffed animal that I got back in like 2009 that I still have. And I decided to turn it into a character because I thought it would be cute. So again, we're just going to be filling in our flat colors. Don't really have too much else to say about it. And please excuse me for stuttering over myself. I am a little socially awkward, so this is kind of hard for me. Haha. Anyway, we're almost done now. Oops. Sometimes you can use separate layers to fill in base colors as well. I don't always do it, it kind of depends on the situation. But for this character, there's no reason to. And for like these areas where I put like the lines and stuff, I like to take the color and bring it down some and shift it toward purple, at least if it's red. Sometimes you'll want to shift it the other way. Kind of depends on the color and whatever you think looks better. So now I'll just take my pen and fill it in so it just adds like a little shadow to it. And there we go. Just got a little shadow in the bow. So for our next step, we're going to make a new layer, and you're going to hit clipping. And you're going to want to go to multiply. Now I recommend using a purple color. You could also use like a red, blue, maybe an orange. It kind of depends on what the colors are of the character. I personally just stick with purple, but some people don't like that. And now we're going to figure out where our light source is. So I'm just going to say that it's up here. Please excuse this horribly drawn sun. Anywho. So we're going to take this purple color and we're just going to start blocking off sections that we want the shadows to be on. Now, my shading is not perfect. It's not exactly super accurate, to be completely honest with you, but it works sometimes. So yeah, we'll just start blocking off these sections. Again, I don't worry about it being super realistic anyway, because my style's cartoony, and personally to me, it doesn't really matter. I don't know, that's just me though. So anyway, we got our sections blocked off. So now I'm going to take it off clipping. That way I can use the bucket tool to fill in these areas. Like so. And we're going to put it back on clipping, and we're going to adjust the opacity to about, I don't know, anywhere between 20 to 40, depending on what looks better. I might go a little lighter. Yeah, 25 looks pretty good. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it on an add layer this time with like a golden color. I try not to use a super bright color, otherwise it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb, like it kind of already does here, as you can tell on her eyebrow, because the colors are light, but that's okay, that's what the opacity is for. So now we're just gonna start filling in areas that we want the light to be hitting. And for the smaller sections, sometimes I'll just fill it in with a pen if it makes it easier. Because the bucket tool can be kind of finicky sometimes, and it can make things look a little ugly. Especially if you got like thin line art. IbisPaint doesn't really like that too much, it seems like. Or at least in my personal experience, I don't know. So we're almost done here. Oops. Okay, just a little bit on the tail, even though that's not exactly realistic, but it's fine. So now, just like we did with the shadows, we're just gonna go and fill in the areas. Like so. Put it back on clipping and adjust accordingly. So for this one, I'm probably gonna do like 12 or 10% because, again, really light colors, so the lighting really like pops out on her. And okay, we got our basic shading done. So I personally merge the layers because, I don't know, IbisPaint starts lagging on me if I don't start merging layers. So, I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna duplicate this layer. Cannot speak English for the life of me. Okay, and we're gonna put it on alpha lock. Now, for this next step, we're gonna need a special brush called wood. And I will leave a QR code link that should be popping up right about now. And in order to import that, what you're going to do is you're going to come to the custom tab here. And you're going to click on these three dots, import brush QR code. So you'll click on that, and then you'll click on the QR code that's going to pop up on the screen. And it should import it into your program. And I think you could still do it with the free version, I'm pretty good and sure, but yeah. No, I know for a fact you can. A friend of mine does, so. Anyway, we're gonna take this wood brush, and I've got some colors that are down at the very bottom here, these ones. And you don't necessarily have to use these colors, but it's just one color scheme I like to use. So we're gonna start with this lightest red here. And we're gonna go ahead and turn this brush up to its max, and we're just gonna fill in the entire body with this color. Now remember, you duplicated the flat colors with the shading. It's not flat colors, my bad. But anyway, you duplicated this color layer. And then you go with that special brush and you just kind of cover everything. And now you're going to be doing what's called a digital underpainting. Right now it's on top, so you can see what you're doing, but that's besides the point. Or you could just hide the other layer, I guess, but I just don't. Anyway, you're going to go to the next darkest color, and similarly, you're going to just start filling in the areas that have shadows that are facing away from the light. And it doesn't have to be really neat. I just like using this brush because it adds a lot of texture. I'm sure you could use a different brush if you really wanted to, though, of course. It would still have the same effect, but I just think it looks nice. So anyway, we're just going to keep filling this in like so. And don't be afraid to go a little outside the lines. It's not going to hurt anything. Forgot to mention that you could turn it on to alpha lock. That way it stays in the colors. So, you know, without alpha lock, it would look like this. But with alpha lock, it stays inside. Okay, so now we're going to take the next darkest color and we're going to go ahead and add more color to it. Just try not to cover all of the previous color, otherwise it's just going to kind of defeat the purpose. So you'll want to apply this darker color wherever you think the shadows will be strongest. And using references does help. I've been doing this method for a while, so I don't really bother with it, even though I technically still should, but that's besides the point. Anyway, we're going to go on to this orange color, and now we're going to start filling in areas that will have the light. Again, not worried about accuracy. It'll still look pretty good regardless. There we go. And now we're going to take that lighter orange and add a little bit more. Kind of looks more yellow with this brush. Just going to keep applying the color wherever you think it would look best. Trying to follow the light source best you can. Again, not worried too much about perfection because, well, that's impossible. And after you get it all colored, you're going to go ahead and just move it below your colors layer. And then you're going to take it and lower it down to about anywhere between 70 to 50. I think we're going to roll with 50 today. So now we've got a pretty decent looking shading going on. So we're going to go ahead and merge this layer down, and then I'm going to merge my line art onto it. That part's optional, I just like to do it personally. But now we're going to add even more shading on top of that. So now you're going to make a new layer, clip it above, hit multiply, and then you're going to take your purple shadow color again, or whatever color you used at the start. And now you're just going to start applying more shadows. And then you're going to turn it down to, I don't know, maybe about 40–50%. And then you're going to go ahead and add a new layer, hit overlay, and then grab your gold color again, or whatever your lighting color is. And just kind of brush it on, and I'm using the airbrush particle. Forgot to mention that, sorry. You just kind of dust the color on, and then lower the opacity to about 30. And now for the fun lighting parts. So now you're going to go ahead and hit add again, and just start dusting color. Lower the opacity some, again to about 30. And now we get to do the whole rim lighting thing that I do. So now I'm going to turn down the brush size to about 30. And where the light is the strongest, I'm just going to trace around the line art, like so. There we go. And now you're going to turn down the opacity to anywhere between 30 to 50 again. I'm going to do 40, I think. And you're going to add another layer and set it to add. But for this one, you're going to go to the color that's directly across. So it's going to be a blue color. But if you used, I don't know, let's say red, then your rim color would be green. But anyway, I'm going to go back to this blue color. And now I'm going to trace along the shadows to give it like a little backlighting effect. Just because I think it looks nice. Like so. And there we go. Now we just need to turn down the opacity again to about 30. And there you go. You've got a fully shaded character. Now I'm also going to show you guys one way that I do my backgrounds. Or at least the way I've been doing it for the last couple of drawings. If you're seeing this on YouTube, then you won't have any idea what I'm talking about till much, much later on because the speed paints for these haven't uploaded yet. But that's besides the point. But if you see my stuff being posted on Instagram, which is Little Lime Studios, little_lime_studios, or on Facebook, you know which group you are because I'll be posting it there. I'm not going to be directly sharing its name because I use my real name there, and that's not really stuff I want to share on YouTube, so yeah. Anywho, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate my layer here, and this is going to seem really weird, but you're just going to zoom in to an area that has like a lot of color. So I'm going to kind of zoom in on this face area and get the bow. You can delete that ugly sun. So I'm going to go to filter and I'm going to go to blur. Then we're going to go to frosted glass normal. And you're going to adjust it. You know, it's going to look a little funky at first, but it's fine. Now you're going to go to Gaussian blur and you're going to blur it out a few times. And then you're just going to start duplicating and merging this layer over and over again until it becomes completely opaque. And if it needs to be blurred a little bit more, you can just go ahead and click on Gaussian blur again. Just do it a couple more times. And voila, you got a fun, colorful background. Sometimes I like to add sparkles to it too. So I'll go ahead and do that. I got this glitter brush, which I will also be leaving the QR code, which should be popping up right about now. Okay, so now we're going to just take this gold color and we're going to have a new layer set to add. And now I'm just going to brush it on over. Just make it nice and pretty. And then I'm going to lower the opacity a bit. And now blue looks like she kind of blends in, which is to be expected because it's the same colors. And I'm going to teach you a couple of different tricks that we can use to fix this. First one is going to the hue, saturation, and lightness settings. And just play around with it. Like that actually looks pretty cool. But if we wanted a different color scheme, we could just sit there and adjust the colors. But I think I'm going to go with this crazy bright Instagram looking color scheme. I'm going to darken it a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to select the layer with the character on it and go to filter. Just to help her stand out a little bit more, we're going to go to style and stroke outer. And I'm going to thicken it up a little bit. Maybe change it black. Yeah, we're gonna go with black this time. I usually use black or white, or you could even pick a color that's like in the background. I'm sure that would work too. But I just prefer having a color that really stands out, and black and white tend to really work well most of the time. But we're still not done, believe it or not. Now, I'm going to show you two different ways to do this because premium users like myself, we get to use the gradation map filters, and those that aren't, you know, they don't get to, but there is technically a sort of workaround for this. It doesn't work as well, but it still works. So anyway, I merged everything, and I'm going to show premium users how to do this first. So what you're going to do is you're going to duplicate the layer, and you're going to set it to overlay. And then you're going to put it down to about 30. So now you're going to go to adjust color, gradation map. And you're going to just click through, see what looks best. I tend to stick with like these top 4, 5 sometimes. Sometimes these down here can look pretty good. Or I use any of the sepia colors. But I think I'm going to just stick with blue and red for this one. And maybe lower the opacity just a bit, because the colors are kind of intense. And there we go. But now, what do you do if you're not a premium user? So what I used to do before I started buying the premium, I would just make a new layer and set it to overlay. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to draw and parallel gradation. Now, gradation map will put the colors according to their shadows, so to speak. Meanwhile, gradation map just is literally a gradient, so it starts with red at the top, blue to the bottom, if that makes sense. Meanwhile, the gradation map, what it does is that, let's say it's a dark purple, then blue is going to be replacing all the dark purple, so to speak. And all the lighter colors are going to be replaced by red. So that's sort of the basic gist. I'm not really sure how else to explain that. But anyway, this works just as well because you're still getting a decent amount of color. So you could just pick something that you think looks nice, which I think we'll just stick with the blue and red again. And then we're going to lower the opacity to about 30. And there you go. It just adds a little extra color to the drawing. So that's with the gradation filter, gradation map, and the drawing by itself. So anyway, that's kind of the basic gist of what I do/did before getting premium. Hopefully this made sense. If anybody has any questions, you know, just comment down below or let me know, and I'll try to figure out how else to explain. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I hoped it helped.